My name's Mariana Vasconcelos, 38 years old, elementary school teacher, Campo Grande, MS, Brazil. This happened to my family in January of 2022. It was supposed to be a well-earned vacation after a tough year. We had planned everything. 10 days of peace at a country house near San Francisco Xavier, in the interior of Sao Paulo. Nature, a wood-burning stove, no phones ringing nonstop. Me, my husband Ricardo, and our 2 kids, Sophia, who was 8 at the time, and Leo, 5. I found the house on Airbnb. The picture showed a simple but charming place. Polished cement floors, dark wooden furniture, lots of windows looking out over the mountains. The host was helpful and quick to respond. The house was on a rural property, a bit away from the town, with a dirt road for the last 3 kilometers. It seemed perfect. We arrived on Monday afternoon. The road to get there was already quiet in a way only the countryside can be. Tall trees on both sides, the branches forming a tunnel over the dirt road. The house looked smaller in person, but it was cozy. The smell when we walked in was strong. Not bad, just old. Something between damp wood and that floor cleaner that's been sitting in the cabinet too long. We didn't pay it much mind. We were tired from the trip, and the kids were excited to explore. The first day was great. We lit the fireplace, had fresh bread with cheese for dinner, and played Uno. It was the kind of night I wanted to keep forever. But the next morning, Sophia called me into the hallway saying, "The girl in the mirror is looking again." I laughed. Kids say the weirdest things. I asked her what girl, and she pointed to the hallway mirror, an old one with chipped wooden edges. She said that when she ran past it that morning, she saw a girl standing there with a dirty dress and no eyes. I was unsettled, of course, but I kept calm and said it must have been a reflection or she was still half dreaming. She didn't push it. She just got quieter for the rest of the day. That third night, I had a dream. I was in the house's hallway, except it felt longer than it really was. There was a strong metallic smell, like wet coins. And far away, deep in the dark, a shape started forming. As it got closer, I saw a thin, twisted body with arms too long, like dry tree branches. And the eyes were 2 glowing red dots, like embers inside deep holes. It came closer, and a voice, not from its mouth, but from the air itself, said, "They're not yours anymore." I woke up shaking, throat dry. The room felt colder than the rest of the house. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the forest outside. I tried to forget. But the next few days, Leo started talking to someone while he played, always in the same corner of the house, near the china cabinet. We thought it was an imaginary friend, but it got weirder when he started calling her the quiet lady. He said she just watched him play, never smiled. Sometimes she pointed at the wall. I noticed he avoided that corner when he was alone, and Sophia stopped using the hallway bathroom because, in her words, the mirror moved by itself. I talked to Ricardo, my husband. He's an HVAC technician, very practical, skeptical. He said it was all in our heads, that we were influencing the kids. He even joked about my dream, saying it must have been the beans from dinner. But on the 5th night, things changed. We were watching a movie with the kids, and Ricardo went to the kitchen to get more popcorn. About 10 minutes later, he came back pale, saying someone had knocked on the back door. I thought he was messing with me, but he looked serious. He said he opened the door thinking it was a neighbor and saw someone standing outside, a tall man with his back turned, completely still.
I asked if he spoke to the man, and he said he didn't get the chance. As he stepped outside, the figure was already gone. No footsteps, no sound. The woods were silent. He tried to reason it out. Maybe a shadow, maybe an animal, someone lost. But that night, he locked every door and window like I'd never seen him do before. That same night, I had another dream. The same hallway, the same metallic smell. But this time, the figure was inside the kids' room. I saw it from outside, like my body was stuck behind the door. It leaned between the beds and declared, they already heard me. I woke up crying. This time, I didn't pretend it was just a nightmare. The next morning, Sophia refused to leave the bedroom. She said someone had been knocking from inside the closet during the night. Leo had red marks on his arm, like someone had gripped it hard. He said it was the quiet lady. She was angry. At that point, Ricardo stopped trying to explain things. He said that we wouldn't be spending another night there. We packed our bags in silence. The children were strangely calm, as if they knew something was wrong all along. Ricardo left the keys in the mailbox at the gate without looking back. We returned home on the 6th day. I didn't text the host about what had happened. She even sent me a thank you message later asking if everything went well. I just replied, yes, thank you. After we returned home, everything went back to normal. No dreams, no girl in the mirror, no one playing with my son in the corners of the house except his sister.
My name is Rafael Martins. I'm 38 years old, and I work as a financial consultant. I live in Brazil, the capital of Brazil, and because of my job, I travel constantly for meetings and contract negotiations. It's a solitary life, not because I have no other choice, but because that's just how it's always been. Hotel rooms, conference tables, airport terminals. I've grown used to it. Honestly, it never really bothered me. Earlier this year, I had to spend a week in Sao Paulo for a big deal with a real estate company. Normally, I'd stay in a business hotel like always, but this time I wanted something a little more personal, somewhere I could relax properly after long meetings, so I rented an apartment through an Airbnb type platform. It was a nice place, modern, quiet, well-decorated, a high-rise loft with large windows that offered a great view of the city. On that first day, everything felt just right. The silence, the clean layout, the soft lighting. It felt like the kind of space you could actually breathe in. And the bed? Far more comfortable than most hotels I've stayed in. That first night I slept well, but I woke up a few times to faint noises. It sounded like the building itself, creaking, furniture adjusting, maybe the wind tapping something outside. I didn't think much of it. These buildings always have their quirks. But on the second night, the noises were different. Louder, somehow closer. Not just creaks, it was like something shifting gently within the room itself, barely audible. I brushed it off as my imagination, or maybe exhaustion playing tricks on me. Then I noticed something strange. No matter how tired I was, I started waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every single night. I wasn't setting an alarm. There was no loud sound. I would just open my eyes, wide awake. That kind of precision, it didn't feel normal. By the third night, the air in the apartment felt heavier. It's hard to explain. There was this subtle shift, not in temperature, but in presence. Like someone was watching me. From where I couldn't tell, but the feeling wouldn't leave me. That's when the small things started to pile up. I'd wake up and find the closet door slightly ajar, even though I was sure I had closed it. A chair was out of place. A glass on the kitchen counter I didn't remember using. All tiny details, easy to dismiss, but they added up, and I couldn't ignore them anymore. On the fourth night, something happened that forced me to stop pretending. I was lying in bed, wide awake as usual, trying not to spiral into paranoia, when I heard it. A soft, clicking sound coming from the wall next to the bed. It wasn't loud, just intentional. I turned on the light and scanned the wall. Nothing obvious. But then I saw it. A faint line, barely visible under the paint, running straight across the surface. Like a hidden outline. A shape, maybe. Almost like something behind the wall was trying to define itself.
With more attention, I pressed against the wall and felt that the lower part sounded a bit hollow. My heart started racing. Something was hidden there. After a few minutes of searching, I found a barely noticeable gap along the side. I pulled it gently, and to my shock, a hidden panel slid open. Behind it, there was a narrow, pitch-black space, a hidden passage. Inside, there was an electronic panel, small surveillance cameras pointing straight into the apartment's main rooms. Alongside them, wires and built-in microphones. Someone had been watching me. Adrenaline took over. I grabbed my phone to light up the space. That's when I saw something that made my stomach turn. A narrow, dark corridor with a faint bluish light at the very end. I was shaking, terrified, but I still walked toward it. The only light I had was from my phone screen. The corridor wasn't very long, but walking through it felt endless. At the end, I felt something primal, like I was being watched by something waiting to strike. There were several monitors, all displaying live feeds of the apartment. The garage, the kitchen, the hallway, even the bathroom. Every angle was covered. The room smelled awful, mold and cigarette smoke. There were half-eaten snacks, a half-empty bottle of water. Whoever had been there had just left. Right before I could take a photo with my phone, I heard something behind me, a deep breath, not accidental. It was loud, intentional, like someone wanted me to know they were there. I turned. There was a tall, heavy-set man standing in the shadows. I couldn't see his face, just his silhouette. The fear that hit me then was overwhelming, paralyzing. Whoever he was, I knew he could end my life right there. I ran as fast as I could. I didn't look back. I fled through the same narrow passage I came from, straight to the front door. I left everything behind. My laptop, documents, clothes, I didn't care. I went straight to the nearest police station. I could barely speak. I was crying, shaking. It took me a few minutes to calm down enough to explain what had happened. They followed me back to the apartment. They searched the place thoroughly. They did find the corridor. They found the cameras. But whoever was in there was long gone. The investigation was kept confidential. Since the rental had been booked under my company's name, things got complicated. I tried to find out more about the apartment's owner. Nothing. On the platform, one of the most well-known in the world, there were no personal details, no phone number, no email. Now the listing is gone, deleted. The case went nowhere. To this day, I still remember what it felt like, how exposed I was, how easy it would have been for me to disappear and no one would know why. That's something I never want to feel again. I never want to be someone's prey again.